I realized that gold had some properties that were beneficial, but it also had a lot of negatives that could impact you, especially if you're holding it over the long term. And it just was like, it made perfect sense to me that Bitcoin would be the de facto better store of value over gold. And then when I read your book and I read chapter 13 and you kind of broke it down into an almost science, I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and I think that, like, when I break that down, I wanted, it's a good qualitative way to like communicate to people, here's what we're looking at, and all of this is predicated upon, in the long term, the ultimate adoption of Bitcoin. That's the number one driver of all of it. Without Bitcoin becoming more widely accepted and utilized in various functions that it can be utilized, none of that will come true. But we can look at the fundamental properties of everything else that it has and say, well, it's better at everything else right now. So making the bet that it will come true is probably the best bet that you could be making, and we'll continue to demonetize a lot of assets like gold and replace their function. And also, gold has become so constrained over the past century that it really hasn't functioned well. I mean, there's no practical way to actually use gold as a medium of exchange in any form. And it's really not even its functionality that has enabled it to become an alternative hedge within an economic crisis. It's really just more of a narrative at this point. But Bitcoin still is more of a narrative, and I think that some of these questions, it comes down to your timeline. Like, a lot of people in the industry are like, Bitcoin is savings, and it's like, when I talk to people, I don't tell them like, Bitcoin is savings. Like, once you really understand it, then like, for the long term it's good savings, or you can expect it to be, but we can't be certain of that yet. And but in the short term, we wouldn't get it to a point where it does become that in the short term. That's going to take a lot more scale and liquidity of the monetary asset for it to ultimately get there.